Hey, my name is Seth Perler with SethPerler.com. I'm an executive function coach. I wear a lot of hats in the executive function worlds, ADHD, 2E, neurodiversity worlds. And in this video, I'm going to teach you about self-grading and why it's so important. It's a really important concept that I'm going to talk about to any of you teachers, educators, paras today, to any of you homeschool parents, and to any of you parents. For the parents out there who are not homeschool parents, you'll want to know about this in terms of being able to advocate for your child. For the homeschool parents, you want to know about this in terms of evaluating your child or helping evaluate their learning. And for teachers, you'll definitely want to know about this, and you'll see why in a moment. So basically, we live in this world where we have letter grades, A, B, C, D, F. Now, I personally think that letter grades are immoral. I think they do not give us the information we think they're giving us. They just don't give us enough. Assessment's important. When people are like, well, how are you going to know how a kid's doing? Yeah, assessment is very important, but letter grades are not the way to do it, in my opinion. But they are a thing. They're a necessary evil, if you will, in a lot of places. And I want to talk about self-grading because I'm very fortunate that when I was a teacher for 12 years. I have a master's in gifted and talented. I taught many different grades. By now, I've worked with middle school, high school, college, elementary kids. I'm pretty convinced of a lot of things in my educational philosophy, and one of them is how important this self-grading is. So self-grading does not just mean grading, A, B, C, D, F. But what self-grading really means is self-evaluation, self-awareness, introspection, self-reflection, metacognition. What self-grading is about, it's how can we work with kids and say, okay, we're going to assess, evaluate, grade your work and whatever it is, math, science, social studies, language arts, whatever we're grading, right? But I like to have my students grade themselves as well. And again, it's not about the grade. What it's about is the metacognition, the self-reflection, the self-awareness. It's about them looking at their learning, their thinking, how they processed and produced a piece of work, a piece of content, how they learned something in a class. And I love rubrics. I'm the type of teacher that likes long-term projects that are very strength-based and that are built around a kid's passions and interests and talents and the things that are meaningful and purposeful to them. So I like creating content that gets them deep into a body of work and content, and that matters to them. That's my objective. I want them to be engaged, and because there's more learning when they're engaged and when it matters. So when kids self-evaluate, or let's say that you were to design a rubric for a certain project that you were doing, allowing them to highlight how they would evaluate themselves in the different parts of the rubric is really easy. It's really important. You can still do your evaluation, but you have really meaningful things to have dialogue with a student about now, to see where there are discrepancies, why they think, why they evaluated them in certain ways, and to help them become what education is supposed to be helping them become, which is better learners and better thinkers. We don't want kids just regurgitating information, just doing busy work, being bored with school. We want them engaged, learning to think, learning to learn, learning who they are, how their brain works, what matters to them, what their strengths are, and building upon those. So creating ways, and I can only go so far in this video, but I just really want to inspire you to know that you can create creative ways to help a child evaluate themselves, their own work, and get so much more out of it by doing that. We live in a world where so often, a kid will produce work, let's say math, let's say they wrote an essay, whatever, and they turn it in to the almighty teacher. And no offense to teachers, I love teachers, but and then they get it back, and it has that 87.2%, or it's a D, or whatever it is, and that's the end of it. And that's not about learning. That doesn't make anything meaningful. We want to really consider how we can allow them what's important. So if you're going to create your own self-evaluation, you want to think about what is important for that child to evaluate, what's a good way for them to evaluate it, involve them in the process as well. How can they get more out of their learning? How can we keep it simple but powerful and meaningful? So I just want to encourage you, any of you, to go out there and think about ways that kids can do self-grading or self-evaluation. Again, for those parents who you need to advocate for your kids because they may be getting, bad grades, but they're working so hard. Maybe they turn something in late and they're always late and it's such an executive function challenge and the teacher's very rigid, but they don't understand that the kid really has learned a lot and come a long way. We want to highlight that. For the homeschool parents, you want to know how to creatively have ways for your kids to evaluate themselves rather than just doing busy work. And for you teachers, obviously, the more you can do things like this, you can make your grading job easier, first of all, but more meaningful. That's the real point of this. Anyhow, that's all I got for you. My name is Seth Perler. Wear a lot of hats again in the executive function, 2E, ADHD, neurodiversity world. If you like what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up. Like it, leave a comment. What do you think? Add to this conversation below, help some people out with that. And check out my site, sethperler.com, if you want to grab some freebies and learn more about executive function. Take care. I want to wish you joy today, peace in your heart, and connection with the people you care about, particularly connection with the kids in your life. I'll see you soon.